All right, if you're getting ready for a teaching exam, you already know that understanding how language really works, beyond just a single sentence, is absolutely critical. So, in this explainer, we are going to break down two concepts that you have got to master: cohesion and coherence. Let's jump right in. So, let's start with this big question. What actually makes a text more than just a random list of sentences? Really think about it. This question, it's at the very heart of all effective communication, and the answer is all about how we weave those sentences together to create something that actually has meaning. Okay, here is our roadmap for today. And I want you to think of this not just as our agenda, but as the perfect framework for your exam answer. Seriously, we're going to cover the big picture, the key players, the crucial differences, and then, most importantly, how you can apply all of it in your own classroom. Right, so let's start with that big picture. Before we can even get into the nitty-gritty of cohesion and coherence, we have to understand the foundation they're built on. And that foundation is the concept of discourse. So the key takeaway here, the thing you have to remember, is that discourse isn't about some dusty grammar rules in a textbook. Nope. It's about how we use strings of sentences in the real world, in a conversation, in an email, in a news article, to actually get a point across and communicate something. It's language in action. And for your exam, get your highlighter out for this name, Del Hymes. He totally changed the game with this idea of communicative competence. It's not just about knowing the rules of a language. It's about knowing how to use it in the right way, in the right situation. And that right there is the real goal of all language teaching. Okay, so we've got our foundation set with discourse. Now, let's dig into our first core concept, cohesion, or, as I like to call it, the text's glue. This is all about how texts are literally held together. So think of cohesion like the nuts and bolts, the actual visible glue that holds a text together. It's the concrete stuff, the grammatical and word-based links that you can physically point to on the page that connect one sentence to the next. And here are two more names that are absolutely essential for your exam answer: Holiday and Hassan. These two are the pioneers who really systematically broke down exactly how cohesion works. Their work on discourse analysis is just foundational. You've got to know them. Now this slide, this is gold. It lays out the 5 key tools of cohesion. For your exam, you'll definitely want to be able to list these and give a quick example. We're talking about things like reference words, pronouns like he or it that point back to something already mentioned, all the way to conjunctions like however or therefore that connect ideas logically. All right, we've got the glue that holds all the sentences together. But you know what? That's not enough. Now we need to look at the architectural plan, the blueprint that makes the entire structure actually make sense, and that is coherence. And here is the huge difference. Cohesion is on the page, right? Well, coherence, it's in your head. It's the logical flow of ideas. It's that aha moment when you realize, okay, this all makes sense. It happens in the reader's mind, and it often relies on their own background knowledge to connect the dots. Now, this is a classic exam question, so listen up. Getting this distinction crystal clear is absolutely key to getting a top grade on your answer. This table just breaks it down perfectly. Cohesion, that's what you see on the surface, the explicit linguistic links. Coherence, that's the deeper level, the logical meaning. And here's the most important takeaway for your exam. You can have a text that is perfectly cohesive but makes zero sense. Think about it. A student essay that uses all the right connectors, like furthermore and in addition, but just ends up repeating the same idea over and over, that's cohesion without coherence. For real communication, you need both. Okay, so this is all great theory, right? But how do we actually teach this stuff? Let's take a look at how to bring this all into the classroom. An incredibly effective and simple activity is text reconstruction. Just give your students a bunch of jumbled sentences and ask them to reorder them. Or give them a text where you've taken out all the connectors. This forces them to actively think about both the linguistic glue, the cohesion, and the logical flow, the coherence. And when it comes to grading their work, your whole focus has to shift a bit. Don't just hunt for sentence-level grammar mistakes. Instead, you need a rubric that asks the bigger questions. Does this piece of writing hang together? Is the argument logical? Are the ideas developed clearly from the beginning to the end? At the end of the day, our job as teachers isn't just to drill vocabulary and verb tenses. It's to help our students develop what we call discourse competence. That's the ability to build meaningful, structured, and effective texts for real communication out in the world. And here it is, your exam cheat sheet. This is the structure of a perfect answer. You start with the big concept of discourse and mention Himes. Then you define cohesion and bring in Halliday and Hassan. You define coherence. You explain the crucial difference between them, and you wrap it all up with how you would teach it. Memorize this flow. It's your key to a great answer. So as you prepare for your exam, just remember that mastering these concepts is so important for helping your future students communicate with power and with clarity. But I do want to leave you with this final thought, which brings us back to that question on the screen. If a text can make sense without a lot of obvious glue holding it together, what does that tell us about the power of context? I mean, how much of what we communicate is really happening between the lines? Something to think about. Good luck on your exam.